Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. All right, so we've got some interesting developments in the World War III front. About 2 days ago, Donald Trump and Russia's ex-president Medvedev had a big public spat. They were mentioning nuclear Armageddon. So basically, Trump felt threatened by Medvedev, and then he told him that he's playing with fire, and then Medvedev said to him back that right, you must go and watch The Walking Dead, which is like a zombie apocalypse TV show. Basically referring to that's what would happen if there's a nuclear war between the two countries. And then he also told him that the dead man hand is also active. So what the dead man hand is a automatic system where if the West takes out Russia's leadership, the missiles and everything is already pre-programmed. The target is already in there. It'll automatically activate and send nuclear missiles all over the world, basically. That's called the dead hand, and that's what they were talking about publicly just for the whole world to see. And that's actually, I believe we've never in history been closer to a nuclear war than what we are today. Not even under the Biden administration, not even during the Cold War were we this close. And then yesterday, Donald Trump announced in response to Medvedev's comments about the dead man hand, he said that he's now deployed 2 nuclear submarines with Trident missiles. They've got about 100 nuclear missiles each on each submarine, and he's deployed it to Russian waters. Obviously, he didn't say exactly where, but they are there now, ready to go. And yeah, that is actually, if you really sit back and take a moment and think about it, it is very scary and it is very serious. We don't know now how the Russians are going to respond to that. Again, the Russians, especially Medvedev, he was the ex-president, and he's still part of the Russia Security Council, and he's been one of the persons that's been actually advising Putin that he feels that Russia is now an exponential threat from the West, and that they're planning a decapitation strike against them. It's very obvious. I tend to agree with Medvedev when it comes to that, and he feels like Russia should do a first strike to deter. And Vladimir Putin has said no. He's been showing a lot of restraint and a lot of patience. And I know there's a lot of people within his ranks and within his country that's starting to actually get a bit, how can I put it, get a bit irritated with Vladimir Putin because they feel like he's just letting the West get away with too much. If you think about all the years where every time there's a red line drawn from Vladimir Putin, such as if they provide Ukraine with long-range missiles, then it's going to trigger a response. That happened. Nothing ever happened to that. Putin didn't do anything. There's a lot of other examples as well where continuously the West just keeps crossing Russia's red line. They send fighter jets in there. There's actually NATO pilots. There's reports of NATO pilots flying those fighter jets in Ukraine. So it's basically, this is a war from NATO against Russia. It's very obvious at this point. The Germans are sending long-range missiles as well. The UK is sending troops. NATO is apparently gathering 250,000 troops to get ready to have a war with Russia. They're redoing the port of Rotterdam, which is the biggest port in Europe, in order to make it to accommodate large military shipments. That's also an obvious sign that they're preparing for war against Russia. They've got Russia's territory, Kaliningrad. They've got that surrounded, and they're openly threatening that they're going to take that over. NATO. Then you've got these presidents, Donald Trump and Medvedev, or ex-president and Donald Trump, publicly talking about nuclear war. Also, the United States sent, for the first time in decades, they've now also sent nuclear weapons to the UK to be installed there. I don't know why they did that, because the UK has got their own, and also they don't need to do that. They've got these Trident submarines that's everywhere, so they can strike anyhow. So I feel like maybe that is just a posturing move, a provocative move. So that's your update for today. There's nuclear submarines ready to go now right off Russia's coast. Yeah, they're openly talking about nuclear war now. And yeah, it seems to me like things are just escalating further and further. If you watch my previous video, I believe this is all because of Russia. They need to take Russia out. They need to take China out. They need to take Iran out. All these BRICS nations that's posing a big threat to the United States dollar as the reserve currency, and to kick America off of its throne as the world leader. And that's happening at a rapid pace. Donald Trump knows that. Donald Trump's getting irritated as well because nothing he does is working. The Russians are telling him to piss off. The Iranians told him to piss off. The Chinese told him to piss off. His tariff wars are not working. Everybody's turning their backs against America, and they're basically acting like a wild animal that's trapped. Anybody that knows anything about animals, or especially here in Africa as well, the first thing we learn here is you never corner a wild animal because you don't know how it's going to react. It's gonna lash out and it's going to attack. And it seems to me like that's what Donald Trump and the American regime is doing now, because they feel trapped. Nothing is working. They made a deal with Japan and they made a deal with the EU, but that's not going to do anything much for them, especially when it comes to the world stage. BRICS has already got a new currency, a SWIFT system. You know, the SWIFT system is a Western-backed system where if you want to transfer money overseas, it goes through the SWIFT system. It takes 2 to 3 days and a lot of fees, and then your money gets transferred. So the BRICS has now got a blockchain-based system that's going to be a lot cheaper, and it's going to be instant, that they're about to roll out. The Chinese are already doing 38% of their trade is in yuan in between the different countries. So it's a rapid decline of the US dollar, and that's actually the underlying issue with all of this rhetoric and all of these proxy wars. And the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians know this, so they formed an alliance. They're going to help each other. And yeah, it's just gearing up. It's gearing up for a full-face confrontation. And yeah, let's just hope cooler heads prevail. And yeah, hopefully there can be some sort of a peace deal. Yeah, but it doesn't look good at the moment. All right, that's your update for today. I'll see you tomorrow.